What is up, YouTube? Okay, so it's real late now. It's like 2:38 in the morning. Okay, so let's knock this out. First off, I would like to thank every single YouTuber who has participated in the Batman Hush community tag. There were some snafus along the way, but nothing that I'm worried about. Stuff happens. And it wasn't from ill intent, and there was no ill will. So everything went good. And I picked Batman Hush to do this tag because it's usually the hardest one to do because there's like 11 issues. You gotta find 11 people. But it's not that hard, but the story is great. It's Batman Hush, which comes to an end. Hush. Hush. Oh, I'm real sleepy. Hush. Okay. So, I am going to try to, below me, link every channel that has participated in this tag. I would also like to give some special shout outs real quick to From Heroes to Icons, Jason, who made a promo video for the tag, which is in the playlist as well, and put it on his channel, and that was incredible. And I would also like to thank Attention Seeking Geek, which you would think sounds really cool, but he's not. Ben, for making the thumbnail that we all used. He sent that to me. He was like, are you gonna make a thumbnail? And I was like, you're gonna make a thumbnail? So he made a thumbnail. This is before I was thumbnailing it. Now I'm all thumbnailed up and introed out. So, real late. It's been a long day. Work. Oh, God. But, we're here to finish out this tag. It's issue 619 of Batman Hush. Written by Writered by Jeff Loeb. And drawed by Jim Lee. And inked by Scott Williams. And filled in by a person who is in this book, named somewhere, Alex Sinclair. So, in review, Batman has pretty much fought back to back to back every bat flipping villain that is in his rogues gallery, which is vast and very good. He has fought. Who has he fought? He has fought Killer Croc and Clayface, Jason Todd, who's dead at this time, and Poison Ivy, and the Riddler. All these people doing all these big horrible things, except the Riddler who just tried to rob a bank. Because he's the Riddler. No one takes him seriously. So, last we left off, Batman was meeting, what is this? This fool's name. Harold, that's right. He had just caught the limp body of Harold as he slumps downward. It says, "You murdered him." And Hush starts quoting Aristotle, and Batman's supercomputer brain starts instantly going, who do I fight? Who knows Aristotle? And Hush opens up on him with two 1911 45s, decent handguns, lots of power up close, not a lot of capacity, but do you really? I mean, they're really complicated to tear apart and clean, but once you get them broke in, real nice. Let's see here. He starts going through memories of Harold, how Harold helped him work on the Batcave and work on the Batmobile, and improve his technology up really well, and set up the computers in the Batcave. And how he promised him he would always help him out. And so he instantly starts breaking down everything about, okay, he's quoting Aristotle. How tall is he? How much do you think he weighs? He's a master marksman. He's using 245s, which are two of the same gun that was used to kill his parents, Batman's parents. Spoiler alert. Um, his parents are not alive. You know, he starts going through everything, like, trench coat he's wearing, like where's he seen that before, and all this other stuff, just trying to break it down to who is Hush, who is this guy. Jim Lee, just to spoil it for you, is number one as far as art is concerned for me. The first art that I saw when I was younger was stuff like Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee. Todd's really good. Jim's incredible. I think pretty much everybody, well, not everybody on this thing would pretty much put him up really high. There may be a few people who don't, but I'm pretty sure everybody on here has mentioned how highly they think of Jim Lee's art. And I think he is, earmuffs, fucking incredible. He is, the way he draws is realistic and not at the same time. It's got so much depth and shading and little line details, but at the same time it's cartoony, but it's not. It's like, he's really trying, but it still holds that element that it is drawn and it is like colored in. It is not, it is not like, a painting or anything like that. It's something done with a pen. And I absolutely love like the way he does mouths and faces. Let's see if you can see. This is not gonna work. Yeah, mouths and faces. Really great. Great action poses. Tons of shading. The same reason I like guys like J. Scott Campbell and Pepe Larraz really reminds me of Jim Lee too. He's definitely got to be a big fan of Jim Lee's. And this is chapter 12, the end. That's what it is called. That is it, the end, which is very befitting. Jeff Loeb did a really good job through this whole series of taking 11 issues to pull from all of Batman's back history and the best of the best of his rogues gallery. Everybody was involved. Huge whodunit. Every issue you were like, oh, okay, well that's who did it. No, next issue, not him, somebody else. Everything's always interconnected. And with Batman, that's probably not that difficult because of the mythos, and you're just following what's already there. But you have to try to do it in an original way that's not done a million times before, with enough twists and turns and cliffhangers to keep people wanting to read it. And the fact that he did that is just a testament to how good of a writer he is. He's counting bullets. And then he sees a necklace on Hush's neck, and he notices, and he knows immediately it's Thomas Elliott's necklace from when he was a kid, his best friend. And was like, where did you get this? And they fight. He stabs Batman in the hand with a boot knife, which I have one of those. They're very nasty. Batman kicks him off of him, asks him who he is. Who are you? Who are you? That's actually pretty good. And Hush just finally breaks it down for him. Why this bridge? My parents should have died in a car wreck. My dad did. My mom didn't. I cut the brake lines. I wanted the family money, just like Bruce had. 2:38 in the morning. Okay. He wanted what his friend Bruce had, infinite money to spend on whatever he wanted and do whatever he wanted with. Basically, Bruce just played and did whatever he wanted and bought all the toys and everything, got everything he wanted. And that's what Hush wanted. And Bruce's parents took that away from him, but since they weren't there to pay for that, he was going to make Bruce pay. He's finally about to slice Batman's throat when all of a sudden Jim shows up, of course, and says, hands up. Bruce tells him shoot him. So for the way Batman is, that's very unorthodox, wouldn't you say? Because Batman's a big proponent of not killing people. And yet this guy he immediately wants dead. First hand-to-hand, well, probably not first encounter, but this is their first big foray together. It's the big reveal at the end, and all Batman wants from the information that he's gathered so far is this guy to be dead because he doesn't want to believe. Maybe that's what it is. He doesn't want to believe that this is Thomas Elliot. And then we see Harvey Dent, bald-headed, non-two-faced Harvey Dent. Harvey at this point had surgery done to his face to make him look normal, which completely made him not hate Batman after that. And he shoots Hush. Hush falls backwards off the bridge into the water. Jim Gordon, give me the gun. Harvey says, fine, yeah, sure, I'll give you a gun. Sure gun. And he's like, what? Yeah. It's one of Jim Gordon's guns. So we're all in it together now, buddy. And then it starts coming out. Harold had surgery done by Thomas Elliot. Harvey Dent surgery done by Thomas Elliot. Batman had his done, had some surgery done. Surgery done on let's see here. And then Batman starts just going through it, just immediately being like, "Oh my God, I should have known." But before he gets to that, it turns into this whole little encounter between Huntress and Catwoman, and they banter back and forth in a non-friendly manner, but end on peaceful terms. And then we cut to Bruce and Clark in costume. I'll just show you why am I doing Superman and Batman in the Batcave. They're talking this over, and he realizes, wait, everything Harold did was imprinted in here. Superman said he searched, but he could not find Thomas Elliot's body. It was probably washed out to sea. Let's see here. When Batman fell and cracked his skull, he needed a surgeon, and his surgeon was the only person he trusted. Dr. Thomas Elliot. So, Batman figures it out. There's got to be something in my head. So, Superman X-ray visions him and sees something at the base of his spine. Base of his homing device. Or something. It never really does say. Batman says homing device with a question mark. And Clark says possibly. And then Bruce is just like, burn it. Now I want you to look at Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent's faces. Like I said, Jim Lee really is incredible at drawing faces. Really, really, really is. I love it. So he tells him burn it. So Superman uses his eyes and burns this thing out of the base of his skull. He said it's just beneath the skin. So then Batman finally puts it all together and confronts, because of course it wasn't just Hush. Hush couldn't have done this by himself. He's already involved everybody else, but he did that to throw off Batman. But he had to have another accomplice. He couldn't accomplish all this by himself. And so Batman finally puts it together, and he's the only person that he captured that didn't have anything to do with this entire situation, which subliminally was supposed to throw him off of who it actually was. The one and only Riddler, Edward Nygma. One of my favorite Batman villains is the Riddler. Puzzles and riddles, stuff like that, is the stuff. It's stuff that I love. Little detective things. It makes you have to think. That's why I love Batman so much. He's such a good detective. The world's greatest detective. So yeah, it finally breaks it down. He finally figures it out, and then he asks him. He said, "Where did you get the kryptonite for Ivy's lipstick? Where did you get it for that ring?" And Edward tells him, "You have enemies in very high places. But you didn't hear that from me. So you promised Croc you could surgically cure his mutation for a price. You have to remember that we're not dealing with with a brain trust there." He said Croc never quite understood that we infected him with a virus, and he was desperate for the cure, and we'd have provided it during surgery. The antidote isn't hard to figure out. I imagine wherever the feds have him, he's been restored. And then Batman goes, "Scarecrow did the evaluations. Everybody wants something. Poison Ivy." Batman says. Riddler goes, "Money." And she's got a thing about Catwoman. Harley Quinn loved getting to work with the Joker. The Joker, he couldn't have been easy. At first, when he heard the Jason Todd gag, he couldn't resist. Clayface. Money, another moron, yawn. Why do I have the sense know all this already? He said, "You angered Roz." And he goes, "He wasn't really playing." Because he had used it's about to reveal here, he used the Lazarus pit. Edward Nygma did. He had cancer, and it was terminal. He was going to die. So him and Hush used their money and power and influence and their skills to get inside and use the Lazarus pit without Raj knowing it was being used at the time. Raj now knows it was being used and who was using it, and he is okay with it. He's fine with it. It's Ra's al Ghul. He seems like a level-headed, very, non-murderous type person. So he was probably okay with it. He's not going to come back and try to kill you or chop your head off or send like 100 assassins to try to pelt you with arrows. None of that kind of stuff. Batman, he said what he really liked was that Batman, when he had surgery at the hospital for his cracked skull earlier in the series, said that he loved that he used Arthur Wynn, the man who invented the crossword puzzle, as his name when he went to the hospital. Oh, great. So yeah. And Hush, the name Hush. Finally, Edward says, "Hush?" Question mark. And Edward Nygma says, "It started as a joke, We had to keep things secret." Then Scarecrow started singing the song, "Hush, Little Baby." It's about a kid who can't be satisfied. And it stuck. But in order to make it all work, you had to solve the riddle. Yes, the Lazarus Pit gives you a unique kind of clarity. Once people go into the Lazarus Pit, when they come out, yes, they are the same. They are not mentally the same. They get a lot more clarity of life, and they see things for the way things are. Very pragmatic. Sometimes it changes your personality a little bit. Sometimes not for the better. I mean, it can go either way. It can make you a better person or a worse person. It just depends. And then he says Bruce's name, so he lets him know, I know who you are. And Batman immediately says, what time is it when an elephant sits on a fence? And when I was reading this, I went back, I listened to Pumpkins, Smashing Pumpkins, I listened to Coal Chamber, I listened to Korn, which is probably the same stuff I would have been listening to in 2000 and early 2000s when I was reading this. I would have gotten more, but I read it fast. So at the time, me being a young, heavily impaired teenager reading this comic book, I, for the life of me, was sitting there going, well, okay, what, 11:30, 12 hurdy. 12 hurdy because there's 12,000 pounds in an elephant. I was just spitballing anything and nothing was working. So you guys think about that. What time is it when an elephant sits on a fence? And Edwards goes, what? And Batman goes, what time is it when an elephant sits on a fence? And Edward immediately goes, time to get a new fence. Everyone knows that one. It's worthless. That's why I have no. And Batman quickly tells him, that's why I have nothing to fear from you. You had to tell Elliot, but no one else. Not even Clayface when he was playing Robin. I know you, Edward Newman. Maybe better than you know yourself. Riddles are your compulsion, your addiction. And a riddle that everyone knows the answer to is worthless. So Edward, even though he knows who Batman is, cannot tell anyone. Because once everyone knows, this piece of information will be completely useless. And then he can't make riddles about it anymore, because everybody will be able to guess what the answer is. And Batman said, and if you ever tell, I'll just tell Ra's al Ghul who used his Lazarus Pit. Batman finally said one last thing. Why Jason? Why bring the boy into it? And the Riddler tells him, what is Batman's greatest defeat? The answer, the death of Robin. He said, didn't like having your nose rubbed in it, did you? And Batman said, his grave is empty. Where's Jason's bodies now? And the Riddler says, that is a riddle, isn't it? And then Batman promptly punches him. So that sets up foreshadowing for later on down the road about issue 655 when it is revealed that Red Hood is actually, spoiler alert, Jason Todd. In case you didn't know that already. And if not, you are way behind. So then Batman said that he buried Harold overlooking Wayne Manor. He did some digging and had a really hard time, but he found out that Harold's last name was Almut. And then Catwoman shows up. And she starts talking to him about what's going to go on between them two now. Because they have this romance going on throughout this whole thing. And you finally think Batman might have a girlfriend. Maybe. Just maybe. And when she gets close to him, she says, hush. And he immediately gets furious. Why would you say that? Blah, 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 blah. Starts getting all bent out of shape. It's all over. And she said, you know what? One day you'll trust me, and one day you'll care about me. Maybe then you'll figure it out. Until then, you just let me know. Blah, 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 blah. And she goes to leave. And she's trying to talk to him. She's like, Bruce? And he just never answers. And then this amazing page to end the whole thing. The last panel of this story by Jim Lee. So awesome. I remember the first time I saw this in, what was it, 2003? Yeah, 2003. Okay. Wanted to make sure. 2003 was this last panel, and it was incredible. I think at the time, I was buying comic books sporadically, just issues here and there or whatever I saw. But I think this is the first time I actually found a book. I just happened to jump on the beginning of it, and then I kept buying them. Once a month, whenever I could, I would get my friend in the car, and we would go to Walden Books, a little store in a strip mall that was closest to here that had comics, had a spinner rack, and had comics up on a magazine stand. And I went up there once a week for for a year, just to make sure I got all these books. And then over the years, read them, beat them to death, lost them. There's no telling what happened to those books. I have no idea. But this last panel is just incredible, and it really did it all for me. So, if you have never read the Batman Hush series, it is, I think there's a hardcover out. There's definitely a trade paperback. Brad got that one. Or you can get single issues. Single issues are pricey. But I don't think they're going down any. If anything, they'll just go up. I mean, they're out there. I think the first issue of this series had a second print, and that was it. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope everyone had fun doing it. Thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. I will be doing another one of these, but not anytime soon. Maybe a once a year thing. Just do it for fun. Who likes Craven's Last Hunt?